thank you to Filmora for sponsoring today's video. If you want to try Filmora to take your video editing to the next level, make sure to use my link in the description box to try Filmora for free. Another day, another MLM polluting the Facebook marketplaces and Instagram DMs. Hunbots are on the loose peddling their subpar quality products when you could buy the same type of product at a normal store. Most of the time we see leggings, jewelry, nail designs, and bad makeup. But what if I told you there is an MLM out there selling products that make you lose your hair? Would you believe me? If I told you there was a company with a list of lengthy lawsuits suing them for hair loss and damage to scalps, would you wonder why such a company would still be on the market? Better yet, would you wonder how their so-called independent consultants can still peddle these products while trying to keep their heads in the sand about the damage their products have caused? Well, I know I would wonder, and it made me curious into what kind of background a company like that would actually have. Now, if you're going for the Mr. Clean look, that's one thing. But what if you tried these products and were unsuspectingly put into a position where you would experience temporary or permanent hair loss when that was not what the product was designed to do? And what if that product was being sold through an MLM/pyramid scheme type setup where it only benefits those at the top and hurts the sellers at the bottom? Would you support that? I know I couldn't. But surprisingly enough, Monat has thousands of active sellers peddling their hair products, skin products, and even pet products. I have always been torn between feeling sorry for these types of independent consultants and also at the same time laughing at their keeping your head in the sand techniques to justify selling for a company like this. But it does make me curious, and when I get curious about something, I start to try and dig into the subject. It doesn't matter if it's a company, a historical event, or a psychological condition, I'll just start to look up whatever I can to satiate my sudden thirst for that variety of knowledge. And when that happens, videos like this get made. And I hope these are as much fun for you to listen to as they are for me to research and produce these little deep dives. So let's comb through the dirty details and take a magnifying glass to a company known as Monat and see what these boss babes are actually supporting. But before we get a little too far into this video, I want to tell you a bit about the company that won't make your hair fall out, Filmora. Unlike Monat, where there is a possibility of your hair maybe falling out while using the product, that definitely is not the case with Filmora. In fact, Filmora is one of the most user-friendly editing software programs I've ever used, and it's something I've been using since 2014 to edit videos. I get a lot of DMs from you guys asking me how to start a YouTube channel or how to edit videos, and no matter whether you are just starting or have already been editing for some time, Filmora is a super easy to use software and it's something I still use to this day. The intros to my videos were all made in Filmora. Yes, this one with the fun little pyramids, and my outros were also made through Filmora. I've made some of the Sad Milk outros using Filmora as well. It's a super intuitive and easy to use software that's really clear and fun to use, and it saves a lot of time during the editing process. What I love is with just a few clicks, I can transform ordinary footage into something new and exciting with a bunch of super cool effects built right into the software. And something that's really cool is that I can even screen record directly into the software, so I can go bother my mods in my Discord server just like this.
Whatever, no, we're talking about my anime waifus.
Okay, well guys, guess what I'm doing right now?
What are you doing?
What?
Looking at anime waifus.
No, I am screen recording this video right now, but I'm doing it using Filmora. How cool is that?
Haha, she just me.
Oops.
Okay, you guys are dropping my frame rate, but I love you guys.
Oops,
Alright.
I was looking at it.
And after that recording and chaos is finished, it pops up as a file for me to drag and drop into the software to begin editing it for whatever I could possibly need. And now Filmora has film stocks built right into it. And you might be asking, but Blair, what is that? Well, film stocks is a one-stop shop for you to download royalty-free video effects, templates, stock videos, sound effects, stock images, and a lot more. And all of those cool little transitions and titles and lower thirds come from film stocks and really makes cleaning up your videos a breeze and keeps everything super, super fun. So everything is integrated right into the software and ready for you to use to get started on your next editing adventure. If you want to try Filmora for yourself, make sure to use my link in the description box to get started. And again, a huge thank you to Filmora for sponsoring this video. It's nice to work with a company that won't make your hair fall out. But speaking of that, let's get back to talking about the company that potentially maybe might cause some hair loss. Let's get into it. Monat. Otherwise known as Monat Global or Mother Nature, as what it's supposed to be broken down as. It turns out I've been saying it wrong for almost a year now by calling them Monet and making them sound so much fancier, classier, and more reputable than what they actually are. My bad on that one. It could have fooled me, honestly. But I can see how they were trying to go for the "we are fancy" vibes with the name and then just kind of accidentally forgetting to follow through with the products. And honestly, the way the name is pronounced really devalues it too. But of course, that's just my opinion. Many of you have seen my many multi-level Monday videos where we dig through what the Hunbots have been posting on Facebook. And this company has been a pretty active part of that controlled collection of chaos curated by the lovely people moderating and posting in Reddit's r/anti-MLM community. It is truly a source of endless entertainment, and Monat is a pretty decent part of the post there. And we have seen many posts like this, and of course this, and many more varieties. Each have their own spin or twist, but they are all ultimately the same. It's a seller trying to peddle their subpar products to you, a potential consumer. So when I decided it was time to take a slice of the Monat pie and see what this company is all about, I found myself a bit perplexed at the fact that I couldn't even find a Wikipedia page for them as a baseline for the company. In fact, when you go to Wikipedia and type in Monat, there's no page for them at all. Now, I know there are a few people in the comments section who always like to tell me how Wikipedia isn't a good source, and I'm not really going to argue that point. But Wikipedia is good to help me establish baselines and help me build my own timeline of events when I begin writing a script, and there's usually something sourced there that I wanted or needed more information on, and it can point me in a generally good direction. But I digress. I was a bit surprised when I typed in Monat and I was given results for all sorts of random people throughout history, but not a peep about the company. So I decided to follow up with a super basic Google search. Interestingly enough, the first results on the first page were all directly pretty much from the company. No news came up or anything. Well, the similar searches or people also search prompt kind of humored me a bit. The fact that the question "does Monat cause hair loss" is the #1 suggested search to also click on when typing in Monat, but that also all the top results were directly from the company and how to purchase or sell their products, it raised a variety of red flags for me. And perhaps it should for you too, and here's why, and I promise I'm going to try and keep this super simple. Marketing in the internet age has dramatically changed the landscape in terms of what you, a potential consumer, are exposed to. We are exposed to a mind-numbing amount of ads every single day, but they are inevitably a part of life and unavoidable. But there was a time before product placement, a time when billboards and newspaper articles were the norm, a time when TV and radio ads were even considered uncommon, and back when things were a bit more simple, it was quite easy to identify what an ad was. It was the commercial break between your favorite TV shows or the mailer thing telling you that there was a sale at the local mall that weekend. But in our digital age, placement becomes king. It almost doesn't matter what your product is or even how good it is. If no one sees it, it's absolutely useless. But additionally, what people see about your product also matters. That's why you've probably seen YouTubers' videos get taken down by companies when they have a less than favorable opinion on a product or service. Companies are learning that consumers want to know more about a product other than it's available and you can buy it. So a bad opinion can be absolutely devastating to any company. And I do understand the implication of me making this video, saying this, and then knowing what's going to happen later in this video by what I'm going to explain to you. So I understand that this video might be a bit at risk and the video may not be around forever because of some of Monat's business practices, but we'll get into that in just a bit. Something you can do now is you can actually pay search engines for placement. And although this isn't an ad, it also kind of is in a really strange way. When you type in a company's name, you can see what people are talking about in regards to that company. So when I type in a company's name with the intention to pull up their history and look through their dirty laundry, so to speak, and find that the search results are completely sterile and just company links and how to buy or sell, I know something suspicious is going on. And it leads me to believe they paid for certain website pages to show up first in the search results. So I knew this video was going to be extra tricky to figure out about their history, considering that it appears they are purposefully burying certain websites, terms, pages, whatever. And it made me want to figure out even more. So here's what I was able to find. Monat was founded in mid-2014 and is owned completely by the company Alcora. And here is how Alcora describes themselves from their own website. Originally established in 2001 as a direct sales company specializing in beauty and wellness, Liudine Global held offices in Maracaibo, Venezuela, and Miami, Florida. So how I see this company is like an umbrella company that has a few names under it, but they are all ultimately owned by the same group. They first had a company called Liudine, or however the heck it's pronounced, and it sounds like an off-brand combination of It Works and Herbalife put together, and that's okay, but it was not really super fantastic or notable because I've never even heard about it until today. But when their new project launched in 2014, Monat, it was an absolute hit. And as the company's own website states, they are a direct sales company, and perhaps that's what the company first was, but Monat has clearly crossed into MLM territory. It also appears as though this Alcora company also created a third beauty company called Project Beauty, and they say on their website that all their products are created by an outside company called B&R Products Inc. So naturally, I followed this faded trail to this company's webpage, and they proudly state that they are a private label company, and my god was this less than pleasing to find. Now, private labeling is a semi-common industry thing, and let me explain. The best example I can give is for all the makeup lovers out there. You're probably aware of the company Morphe, which is a company I refuse to shop with and whose products I won't touch, and here's why. Morphe is a company that is a private labeler. Now, it's not inherently bad. That is until the company is trying to hide the fact and pretending that they are more than what they are. That's when I have a problem. Morphe is known to private label from the company Crown Brushes, and if you buy from Crown Brushes, you are literally buying Morphe products, but cheaper and directly from the manufacturer, and it'll obviously have a different name because that's how private labeling works, is they change the label. But they're still kind of doing this recently. You know that really popular James Charles palette? Well, here it is on Crown's website, so yeah. I'm sure James Charles and Morphe worked so hard to make that palette. Or maybe it was just that this company was developing it and they changed a few designs and changed the colors around ever so slightly and claimed it was a brand new thing, but it's really not. I don't care if a company is private labeling, but I really don't like it when I find out a company is claiming to make something new or revolutionary, only for it to be revealed that they are just private labeling the exact special product they sell, and it's available from a cheaper label or direct from the manufacturer and contains the exact same stuff as the company in question claims to have as like an original thing. So thanks for allowing me to follow those breadcrumbs to find out this company is really into private labeling apparently. At the end of the day, all it really means is that the company is charging you more for a product with their name on it. So you're literally paying for a name. And as I said earlier, they didn't do a great job at choosing the name they went with, so it's really quite an unfortunate thing to private label. So here's what we know for sure. Monat is owned by a company called Alcora, which apparently private labels its products. Its second company was Monat and was founded in 2014. But when you go to Monat's About section, you'll see a photo of the Urdaneta family, and it says that you'll get to meet them, but when you look at the page, there's not really much to learn. No family to meet, nothing. It's a picture of some people that I have to make an assumption is this family, but there's no real guarantee, and maybe this is a stock photo. I don't know. But their history is seriously lacking, and honestly, anyone with at least 2 brain cells can look at this history and see a lot is missing. Here's what the entire page actually says. In October 2014, we officially opened our doors for business. In a short time, we have accomplished incredible things thanks to the dedication of our market partners, the enthusiastic support of our VIP customers, and one-of-a-kind home office staff. Monat starts with changing your hair and eventually changes your life. We offer a generous compensation plan, an exceptionally nurturing support system, and caring, committed leaders who treat you like family. Want to become part of this movement? Now is the best time because together we are unstoppable. And yeah, that's actually it. There's nothing substantial in the history section of this company. This little history page literally has a call to action to get you to become a seller. There's no shitty, heartwarming story of the passion behind the company. There's no explanation why this company is so important to the hair care industry or why it mattered to them to create these products. There isn't even really anything about the family. Not even like a first name. It's nothing. It's unusually barren and almost eerie, and I don't think I've really seen a company page like this in a long time, and it gives me more questions than it does answers. But on the other hand, if this company really is owned by Alcora and private labels as products, I'd probably hide that too. But this, just like their search results, appear to hide so much that it makes me want to learn more about them and really sink my teeth into something substantial. But if they are hiding the very basics of their company's beginnings, what else could possibly be hiding under the surface? Let's find out. If there's one thing I really can commend this company on, it's burying information on themselves. They have done an absolutely fantastic job at hiding things, and they made my job a little tougher than normal, but hey, I like a little adventure from time to time. And thankfully for me, this company, much like LuLaRoe, really loves to trip and fall into lawsuits. And those are very traceable, and my god do they have a lovely selection to choose from. But before we get into those, I think it's important for me to explain why I decided to put the magnifying glass on Monat. And there are two reasons for it. The first is that they are an MLM, or a multi-level marketing company, and I find that these companies are extremely exploitative of those who are most vulnerable in our society by claiming to offer dreams of financial independence and selling a dream that almost every single one of those sellers will never achieve, but they will most certainly feed those at the top of those definitely not pyramid-designed models. The second reason is because of the nature of their consumer complaints. This company had about 500 complaints filed with the BBB in a 12-month period, with a vast majority of them about the products hurting them, specifically referring to hair loss or like chemical type burns. And that's a huge health concern. Take a look at this one example out of many, many complaints against the company. I purchased hair treatment that was supposed to thicken my hair. Instead, it has made my hair fall out. I am now going bald. I first purchased Monat hair treatment on 8/18/17 after seeing pictures online of how women were able to regrow their hair. It initially seemed to work, so I purchased more products. After 2 months of use, my hair began to fall out, and it continued to fall out, and I'm now going bald. I have seen other similar complaints on the product on Amazon. In addition, when I tried to address the issue in their online chat, they would not post my questions about my hair loss. I met with a doctor about a hair transplant, and he told me to stop using the products. He also told me that my scalp could have some kind of condition and that I am too bald for a hair transplant. He recommended I see a dermatologist and try a laser cap that cost $800. I would like a refund for the total that I have spent on Monat products, since I am now afraid to use any of it on my hair. I would also like to be reimbursed the $800 I had to spend on the laser cap. The total I spent on Monat hair was $585.93. When the $800 is added, the total is $1,385.93. This is what I would like Monat to pay me, since their product damaged my scalp, causing me to go bald, and also caused me to spend added money on a later cap. There are several similar stories of Monat on Amazon. They do not post these stories on their chat and mislead customers. So even if you wanted to support these MLMs, which I do think less of you for supporting a model that exploits those who are financially vulnerable, I think it's really, really hard to turn a blind eye to a company whose products causes temporary or even permanent hair loss, especially when the company is a hair care company that claims to help make your hair beautiful and clean. Hair is something that we are all psychologically attached to. Many men and women have a fear of balding, losing their hair, and so on and so forth. I could not imagine the anguish of trying a hair product that's supposed to help make your hair look fuller, shinier, or healthier, only to have it fall out in clumps, and in some cases, for it to never grow back again. I know I would be absolutely devastated if something like that happened to me, and I would not wish that even on my worst enemy. And that's why I think it's so important to bring this information to more people. So even if you want to support this company because it's an MLM and you want to support your fellow boss babes, I can't quite wrap my mind around how you would justify wanting to support a company whose products can do that to its customers. So let's briefly touch on their products from the most objective standpoint I can take. Something many Monat sellers like to touch on is the fact that the company is Leaping Bunny certified, and I too can actually confirm and even applaud them for that certification. It's a fantastic marketing tool to trick people into thinking more highly of their product than what it is. According to Leaping Bunny's website, they state the following about what their standard is. To achieve approval for its own label, cosmetic and/or household products, a company must comply with the following criteria. 1. The company does not and shall not conduct, commission, or be a party to animal testing of any cosmetic and/or household products, including without limitation formulations and ingredients of such products. And 2, the company does not and shall not purchase any ingredient, formulation, or product from any third-party manufacturer, supplier that conducted, commissioned, or has been party to animal testing on said ingredient, formulation, or product after the company's fixed cutoff date. If a formulation, ingredient, or product is found not to comply with the standard, the company will replace it with an alternative that complies with the standard's criteria or remove it from the product range. So what does that mean for a company like Monat? It means that the company does currently comply with not testing their products on animals and that their ingredients are not sourced from third parties who do conduct animal testing. And that's awesome. Here's what a Leaping Bunny certification doesn't account for: consumer safety. Now, to clarify, this is not me throwing shade at Leaping Bunny in any capacity. I think what they are doing is fantastic, but I think many consumers see this as a gold star on a company that states to them, oh, this company is safe to buy from, when it's really just certifying that animals were not hurt in any way to make the products the said company produces. It does not verify that a hair company won't cause your hair to fall out, but, just like an example. And I think Monat sellers want to use this certification to further their stance that their products are safe, when that's not exactly what Leaping Bunny's certification actually means. Speaking of those boss babes that are out there hustling hard for that dollar bill, let's take a look at Monat's income disclosure statements, because I, for one, am extremely curious as to how peddling these kinds of products pays off. It's like looking at an actual visual of how much it costs to sell your soul, so let's take a look, shall we? I guess souls are going pretty cheap these days. Let's read that little underlined red portion, shall we? A typical participant in the plan earns between 22 and 1,188 Canadian dollars annualized. That's pretty cheap to sell your soul to this company for that little money and potentially permanently ruining your friends' and family's hairs and relationship with them just to be a boss babe for a little bit. Now, in US dollars, that's about $16.68 to $900.93 annually. And that breaks down to a boss babe making between $1.39 to $75.08 a month. And that's if they can even turn a profit, because many can't even do that. Now, I'm gonna go out on a limb here with the following statement, but that's not really boss babe money. In Canada and in the US, that's not even really enough money to be financially independent from almost anything. I really don't know who they think they're fooling, but this is really pathetic. But hey, I guess that's how much money you need to give someone to make them irrationally loyal to your brand, so that's an unfortunate thing I learned today. But now back to the company. So things seem to be smooth sailing for their first couple of years in business, as it is for most MLMs before they start slipping down the slope of irreparable damage. But that slope began sliding in 2017 for Monat. Now, in mid-2017, Monat sued Mags Kavanaugh and Associates of California Beauty Studios, Inc. Now, I say now, because you're wondering why I would bring up a lawsuit where Monat is doing the suing. But just follow with me on this one, because this is going to be the first in a long list of lawsuits for this MLM where they do the suing, but it overall doesn't look good for them. So Monat sued Mags and I believe her company for making defamatory statements against Monat. She had made claims that the company was possibly using a similar or same formula as the Wen hair care products line. Now, if you don't know what Wen hair care is, Wen is a company that was started by celebrity hairstylist Chaz Dean. The company incurred almost 2,000 complaints to the BBB about hair loss and scalp damage. They were eventually sued in a class action lawsuit and investigated by the FDA, and then had to pay out $22 million for the damage their products caused to their consumers. Now, that sounds really similar to Monat now, doesn't it? Maybe, maybe not. Well, I could argue that it does sound eerily similar to what's happening to this company now, and with finding out they use a private labeler for their products, I could also see how those similarities between the two hair companies becomes even more relevant. So this woman made that connection and said something about it, and Monat did not like that, so they tried to sue her into silence. In early 2018, the lawsuit was settled, and Mags wrote a statement on her Facebook page about the results of the lawsuit, and here's what she had to say. Since then, Monat has tried to settle with me 4 times now and wanted me to put up a crazy apology letter that I refused to do. I now see that same apology letter being posted by other poor stylists when they were sent threatening letters. So Monat tried to settle one more time with me, in which they are just basically dropping the lawsuit. I am going to settle my case with them with no apology, just with the knowledge that this never should have been filed in the first place. Monat will go away, far, far away, and I will never talk about them again. Sometimes you must stand up for what is right in this world. Freedom of speech is the fabric of our Constitution, which is very important to me. Now you know the truth. And so with that, the case was settled, and although it seems like she never had to put out an apology that other hairstylists apparently had to put out, or that Monat was gonna sue them, it does kind of sound like they were forcing her into silence then. I'm led to believe that because of the statement where she says she'll never talk about them again. Maybe that's just me looking into it too much though. And also, no answer was given one way or another comparing the 2 products between Monat and Wen, but that comparison was now in people's heads, and this lawsuit brought just a little bit more attention to it, more than this hairstylist could have ever done on her own. So I find it kind of entertaining that they tried to bury this and instead ended up giving it more attention. But this was not the only hairstylist Monat went after, as alluded to in Mags's Facebook post. Another hairstylist, Vicky Harrington, was also sued by Monat in January 2018. This seemingly again drew more attention to Monat. Vicky was one of the owners of a very popular Facebook group dedicated to women talking about their poor experiences with Monat and sharing photos and experiences and stories. She was sued for defaming Monat. Although this case was considered settled, Monat did manage to take down the Facebook page, but those photos of men, women, and children losing hair, having burnt scalps, and other forms of damage that were attributed to be caused by Monat's products still float around the internet, and they're not pretty to look at. In February 2018, Monat was sued for $5 million in the first of many class action lawsuits against them. This lawsuit alleged 2 key grievances against the MLM. The first was that it claimed their products were essentially a scam by claiming to have a shedding period as an excuse to purchase more of their products to fix the problem, but in reality, the products were just damaging the user's hair. The second complaint was that Monat lied about their products being sulfate-free, but contained the ingredient sodium C14-16 olefin sulfonate, a sulfate. This lawsuit additionally mentioned the systematic silencing of critics against the company as an additional reason why this class action was being filed as a class action for a strengthened numbers approach against this aggressive company. And they specifically cited the lawsuit against Vicky Harrington. 1 month later, in March 2018, another former user of Monat filed a lawsuit. In this lawsuit, the plaintiff, Dana Sohovich, alleges that she lost almost 50% of her hair as a direct result of using Monat hair products within a 6 to 8 week time frame. This lawsuit, in combination with the previous class action from just a month prior, as well as over 200 negative consumer reports in a very short period of time, prompted the FDA to open up an investigation against Monat. In March, the FDA surprised Monat by showing up to their facility unannounced for a surprise inspection. According to initial findings, the facility was filthy and contaminated. This initial report just means the company was essentially sloppy with how it packaged its products and did so in a way that the products were contaminated with general filth and dirtiness, which can count for unaccounted ingredients entering products that should otherwise not be there. Now, with backtracking for just a moment, remember that first lawsuit when Monat sued the hairstylist for comparing Monat to Wen Hair Care? You know, the company that had multiple class action lawsuits against it for hair loss, crazy amounts of consumer complaints, and surrounding hair loss and scalp damage. Wait, which company was I just describing? Hold on. Oh wait, nope, the similarities really are uncanny. That's really interesting. I'm just so glad Monat isn't like that at all. The fact that they formulate their own products. Oh, shit, aren't they a private label company too? Wait, no, that can't be right. Aren't they the company that's just super transparent about their history and doesn't have a weird search history to suppress negative reviews and definitely does not try to sue people into silence? Wait, shit, okay. Houston, we might actually have a problem. Well, anyway, let's move on. 1 month later, Monat found itself in yet another lawsuit. Another woman sued the company for hair and scalp damage. In this particular lawsuit, she claims she went to see her physician and her doctor identified Monat hair products as the root cause for her scalp irritation and apparent irreversible damage to her scalp and hair. and she sued for the damage and misrepresentation of products by Monat. Interestingly enough, in June 2018, Monat announced the results of allergies testing it performed with a well-renowned lab. The lab did a 48-hour patch test on human skin to look for possible reactions to the skin and did not find any. Because they did this test, they could now claim their products were dermatologically tested, regardless of their results. Something to be careful of in this situation is that most of the complaints about hair loss, damage, and scalp irritation were the result of products being used for weeks at a time and not 48 hours. Additionally, be aware of wording. Being dermatologically tested is not the same as being approved. They will test products, and tests could show that whatever the lab tested sucked, but it doesn't invalidate the fact that the product was in fact tested. Tested is not the same as approved, and based on a 48-hour patch test, I would argue that the test is at best a moot point, and at worst, a tactic to add to their products to say they were tested to give the appearance of being more than what they actually are. I would hope Monat is not the kind of company to do that, but based on their track record and how they have acted as a company, based on their own actions, I really have no idea. And now it seems like we are sitting and waiting in limbo. Lawsuits take time to reach a conclusion one way or another, and for now, it seems like Monat has managed to keep their heads down, and maybe it's because they're busy with their lawsuits, but maybe not. Either way, this is where the tale of Monat ends for now. It's a somewhat unsatisfying ending because there are no fantastic successes or losses. There's a lot of speculation and no real answer for the time being. As for the consumer reviews, BBB complaints have all been set to private, so it's really difficult to read their new reviews. And it just so happens to be another tactic I believe Monat is using to be secretive, and it just doesn't look appealing. However, when you go to Trustpilot for consumer reviews, theirs are left public, and there are reviews from just a few hours ago, and none of them are good. So even though they may not be in any legal trouble for the time being, they are still racking up many negative consumer reviews, and most of them seem to be echoing the same sentiments as those before them. In my personal opinion, I won't use products that are peddled by MLMs. I do not support that business model, and putting my money elsewhere feeds legitimate businesses and not MLMs. And if I found out a company could cause hair loss, and knowing that I'm very attached to my own hair, I wouldn't go near it. And that's my second strike against Monat. And thirdly, we live in a world where we as consumers feel an obligation to know about the companies we purchase products from. And the fact that Monat hides a lot about them and acts like a shadowy figure in an alleyway trying to sell me shampoo does not make me feel encouraged to want to purchase from them. So for me, that's an easy 3 strikes and they are out. I will admit I'm a bit surprised that they have not been full-on sued for being a pyramid scheme, but perhaps in due time that will rise to the surface as well. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What's your opinion on Monat? And while you're scrolling down there, don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. I also want to give a big thank you to all the members that do support my channel, but especially to Gwendolyn, my top tier. Thank you for all the support and love that you guys all give me. Additionally, if you guys want even more content from me, since I started doing these longer deep dive videos, it does take me a little longer to make videos now, you can go ahead and open up my description box. You're gonna find links to the Sad Milk collaboration channel, the Big Energy podcast, and a variety of other links, Discord servers, and all that fun stuff to connect with me outside of YouTube. So I just want to thank you guys for watching another video. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!
We'll be right back.